So just use whatever you need. And then the point is, see, here I'm going to go a little bit further just so that it's flatter. I could stop there and that would work, but I want to go all the way. Do whatever you feel like you need to do. And it doesn't matter if you overshoot a little bit. Remember, we're going to use the tape, so it covers a lot of sin. So that's the point, right? So then you just take this, put it inside your cardboard, and once you've got it in place, then the next part is you basically just going to tape it down. Now, I recommend taping down the inside a little bit just because it gives it something to stay inside. You don't want it to be slipping and sliding around there. And it's okay if you have to curl over a little bit. I'll show you what I mean. Like, if I'm here on the edge, it's okay if I put it close to the edge and then have to curl the tape over. Just do your best to make sure the tape is flat. That way it doesn't cause problems, but that's okay. And the whole point is you just want to make it so that it just doesn't move too much, that it stays where you want it, right? And as you can see, like I said, I left the edge, and this just gives it a little bit extra support and stability. And it only takes a second, so why not? You know, again, just try and make sure it's flat. That's the key element. Don't really have to worry about this back edge because the flap is kind of there, but it is a good idea, you know, add a piece right here on the base so that it doesn't shift, right? You don't want it to flop side to side, so that just ensures that it does. And then you just close it up. And then what you want to do next is basically very simple. You just take this, I'll move it back a little bit so you can see, and then since I'm using duct tape, I'm going to take the roll, I'm going to put it flat on the table, just more for you guys than anything else, and put this about halfway on, right? This gives me this nice edge, and then all I want to do is take that edge and then just cut exactly level with my corners to the best of my ability, right? This just allows for what I'm going to do next to have an option. Now, then all I do is I just take that, fold it down, try and fold it as best I can with my fingers, and then just fold it over, going for as flat as I can. Then all I do is I take these edges and do the same thing. Just fold it over, and then bring this across. Now, because this is our first piece, it doesn't really matter. You could have done it the other way. I just think this is easier. And you want to make sure that your tape overlaps a little bit, but you don't need to go all the way to the edge. You can if you want, just to make it look nicer, but you want to make sure that there's edge, right? So my tape goes over a couple inches, and then the process is the same thing on the bottom. Just fold it over. Now what this does is it creates a good seal. It makes it so that now it's not jumping up, but it makes it solid, right? And the nice thing is, because it's duct tape, it's waterproof. And then basically I do the exact same thing all the way down. Now, what I can do here, because this of course is going to get in the way, to make it look a little nicer, what I can do is put a piece kind of about halfway on, and I find using X-Acto knife is just easier, and just cut up along the metal, right, in this case. And this just makes a tiny little incision that this will then fit through, and cut off the edge, and do the same basic thing. But see, now this leaves me something flatter to work with, right? That's the only point of doing that. And then the tape itself is the exact same process, except now I'm going to put the seam on the bottom because now it's easier. And I just fold it over and then bring this up until I connect. Again, always make sure there's overlap, just because it makes it so that it is, you know, waterproof and whatnot. But you don't always have to go to the exact edge. And then you just cut it. And you basically repeat the exact same process until the whole thing is duct taped. Now, when you've done this piece here, this little cutout, make the next piece butt up right against it. And that's it. Just cut, fold, and both ends do the same kind of thing that you did with the front. Just make the tape and then do the incisions and away you go. And I'll jump till that's done. So there's our wire frame all ready to use. Now, the advantage to this, for using things like telekinesis, for example, this thing is absolutely invaluable because it helps eliminate the option of any kind of physical movement to it. If I'm using this, then I can't physically be doing things to manipulate it directly. And so it is absolutely worth its weight in gold when we get into those kind of talents. However, for developing things more like the sense-based abilities and intuition, what we can do is we can take the envelope from before and basically, I'll just fold it in here. As you can see, it's a little bit too tall, right? So I can just take it now that it's folded and then just make a nice another little fold and make it nice and sharp crease so that it stays together a little bit better. And then take something like a hole punch and then just knock a hole in it. This allows me then to hang it, right? So in the beginning, like I said, for things like sense-based abilities and intuition, I can take a card, not knowing what it is, you know, keep my eyes closed or whatever, I can slip it in. Now, as I said before, you can still see the card basically, right? So you want to take, if you're going to use this for this way, take things like the recipe cards, which of course, like I showed too, you can still kind of see through, and put them in the envelope with it, right? Making sure that they stay in a place where they won't kind of separate so you can see what anything is. And then the process is the exact same. Just close it up and hang it. Now, no matter what you do, you won't be able to see that. Now it is truly obscured. It's just that this particular design is a little too light. And then I can hang it. Now, for some people, this is a wonderful tool because it allows you to do things like this. I can put both my hands in on it. I'll just stop it here. And I can be moving them and feeling them and doing whatever I need without actually physically having to touch. For some people, that's a very valuable tool. But it also allows me, I can do things like, I can just use fingertips, right? I can, you know, the advantage is it just allows me to use both hands basically at the exact same time. Or if I don't want to even touch it, I can kind of just pull myself back and kind of concentrate on it there, right? I can turn it to face me directly and look at it. It just gives me that 1 degree of separation to ensure that I can't cheat myself, right? And it's that simple. And so like I said, when we get into things like telekinesis, when you're using that ability, this is of course way better and way more valuable, but it does give you this degree of separation, which is a wonderful thing if that's what works for you, right? Everyone's different, so some people, they need different tools, right? If this is what works for you, great. If you don't need it, don't worry about it, right? All at the end of the day, these are all just tools and guidelines to get you going on the right place. So that's it for the wireframe. That's really all it's used for. So enjoy it, go play with it, and as I said, you know, do what works for you, because at the end of the day, that's the point. So have fun with it.